Well, it took until game 33, but the only team in the National Hockey League without a third period comeback victory was the best team in the National Hockey League, and that's your Colorado Avalanche. They get their first of the season. They come from behind in the final frame, and they beat the Seattle Kraken by a score of 5-3. Nathan MacKinnon gets the empty netter at the end of this one. But the biggest story here, and we will get into all of the craziness in this dirty game. For a game against a otherwise meaningless opponent in Seattle, kind of worthless this year when you talk about the powers that be in the Western Conference, this game had everything, Mark Springer. And what it had was a third period go ahead power play goal from this much maligned Avs extra man unit.
Yeah, look, they were due. They were as due can do. And look, the Kraken are as mid can mid. Like
Yeah,
they were
they
12
are.
they were 12-12-6 coming into tonight. Like that's the definition of mid. They're not going to be a playoff team.
No.
They had lost 8 of 9. They've now lost 9 of 10. But guess what? When you've lost 8 of 9, they just lost at home to Buffalo. Like they had a sense of urgency tonight. They get paid too. Like mid is still capable. It's not absolute trash. Hell, you saw tonight absolute trash, and the Vancouver Canucks went into Madison Square Garden and won 3-0. I know the Rangers have been poor at home, but nonetheless. Tip of the cap to Seattle. Except for, Mason Marchments and Brandon Montour. But other than that, they fought. And I guess that's got to be part of the frustration with Marchment. I know there's also a frustration with Manson dating back to previous matchups when Marchment was a star. But, that's frustration just boiling over. You lost 8 of 9. The Avs are right there in that game. So, hey, look, they get the win. They're the better team. They're the best team in the league, and Seattle's mid. But they played well. Like, that was a close, really good, fun hockey game.
Yeah, Seattle brought their A game, and I thought Colorado, for the vast majority of this game, outside of the third period, they had their C game at their very best. Colorado was not on top of it. The power play, while it was creating shots on their first 3 opportunities, still looked toothless at that point, but they were throwing pucks toward the net. It just didn't feel like there were any grade A opportunities. I think the best one that you had was the Brock Nelson opportunity right on the doorstep. And then Jordan Eberle goes back down just a couple of seconds later and ends up scoring on, I wouldn't say a similar play, but something that was around the goal mouth as well. Do you want to start with the power play, or do you want to start with Marchment? Do you want to start with the weird call on Ross Colton? There's half a dozen places we could go here.
Yeah, lots of. How about my favorite player tonight? And I was just listening before we got on to JML talk about it on the TV post-game show, and he's so right. At least what I heard in passing as I was getting everything set up here. Gabe Landeskog, dude. Only one assist, but 5 shots on goal. What, he hit a post? Did he hit 2 maybe in this game? And this kind of ties into the power play with some of Landeskog's shots on goal, putting Brock Nelson out there. Kind of allows them to move Landeskog out wide from time to time, because you saw him throw some one-timers on net, some deeper. He's not net front. He wasn't primarily net front. I like him there. But Landy can freaking rip the puck too. He can. But it wasn't just him playing well on the power play. It was, just gritty all night long. The icing, the preventing the icing at the end of the game, standing up for his dude, standing up for Ross Colton, like going twice. Landeskog goes to the refs. You got your captain back, who is a steady head, who knows how to talk in a respectful tone, and the refs respect Gabe Landeskog. Like when Gabe Landeskog talks to you, you're thinking to yourself, "Uh-oh, did I fuck up if I'm a ref?" So, he stood up, he talks to the ref after the Ross Colton boarding, which was an incorrect call, and he's talking to the refs after the melee that Marchment starts. So I mean, and he's playing great. You could see the skating's good, the positioning, the movement is all good. Gabe Landeskog only 1 assist in a game where the Avs score 5 ultimately. Did have 5 shots on goal, which was second to Brock Nelson, who had 7 shots on goal. McKinnon also had 5 shots on goal. Yeah, Landeskog was, to me, I think he's the reason they won tonight, actually, and he only gets 1 assist.
He's definitely one of the main reasons why, and it's so funny.
Like it all just trickled down from Gabe.
Another would-be point for Landeskog gets wiped off the board after Marty Necas tries to bat the puck in with his hand as he's falling to the ice. And it was nearly called in. What they were reviewing was not whether or not Necas touched the puck. I think it was very clear that he touched the puck and tried to push it in. What they were reviewing is the Seattle Kraken stick that ends up pushing the puck deeper into the goal. Unfortunately, the puck had already fully crossed the goal line, so you don't end up getting the illegal hand wiped out of there. It's the reason why the goal doesn't stand. That would have been another primary assist for Gabe Landeskog, who was the player who took that primary shot on what would have been another power play goal for the Avs tonight. I thought Landeskog was great. It scared the living shit out of me when Vince Dunn lost the puck and then dove after it on the right side half wall in the third period. Landeskog is there to create that turnover, get the puck to Brock Nelson for a grade A scoring opportunity. But Dunn goes, I wouldn't say full speed, but Landeskog gets upended right into that left knee, man. That scared the crap out of me. He seems just fine. So I'm not going to get nervous about it right now, but that did.
No, you saw him chase down and prevent the icing.
So he's good.
So he's fine.
I just don't love when
there.
I just don't love when anything happens around Gabe Landeskog's lower half. So Landy was great. I thought this evening, even though Girard scores, I thought the Girard and Malinsky pairing struggled. Like most
it was
of the team
that one
did for
goal. Which one
game.
was it? Shane Wright, was it the first goal?
Yes.
For Seattle? Okay, yeah, it's both Malinsky and Girard. They just let Shane Wright get behind him and they don't do a damn thing. I know Shane Wright's a bigger dude, a bigger forward, but like, come on. And also, look, let's see. I mean, Benny, you're right. You know who was puck watching on that play? Gavin Brindley. Gavin Brindley's just standing there like, dude, you're actually the closest guy. Olofsson was kind of manned up marking his guy. Brindley was the lost forward who needs to crash down low on that defensive play. Not the look, he's a rookie.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And again, most of the team was not good for 2/3 of this game. They brought their C game. Seattle brought their A game. That's we talked about this a few shows ago. That is what is going to happen when Colorado walks in with this absurd 23-2-7 record where they've only got 2 regulation losses and it's damn near Christmas. You are going to find these teams like Seattle who are, again, irrelevant this season. You're going to get really good efforts out of them, right? It felt like, it's the old adage of when you're playing either Pee Wee football or Little League baseball, it's like, oh, it's that team's World Series today when they beat you. Seattle was playing like that. It's their playoff game. It's their Stanley Cup game tonight against Colorado because you're trying to knock off the best team in the world when it's pretty clear Seattle's not a playoff team this year.
And it was also like, we've lost 8 out of 9. Like, we got to get one, boys. We got to get one.
And what better way to do it than knocking off the big boys?
Yeah.
It very clearly ran its course into the third period, and it all changes on a head when Brent Burns and Josh Manson start to get into it behind Mackenzie Blackwood, and it was fairly benign at the beginning of this, right? Like, Marchment runs into the net but doesn't really touch Blackwood. He kind of gives Manson a little bit of a shove, but it really wasn't anything crazy, Spring. Manson is the first guy to throw the punch.
I felt like Marchment was instigating.
Sure, and he was. And that's
Like
who Mason
Marchment,
Marchment
it was
is.
looking because yeah, him and Manson weren't even tangled up. They were just near each other. After the net goes
They were
off, it's
holding, so
boring.
they were holding on to one another. They were physically connected going into the board.
But it
They
wasn't
weren't
like they were
actively
like, get
checking
off
one
me,
another.
you get off me. They were just kind of there. And
Right.
then Marshman just kind of decided, I'm going to throw a shot at Manson. And then, boy, did Josh Manson throw a bigger one back at him.
And I love that too. So like, and I do believe like these guys, it's so funny. There is now a podcast about it. These guys read the game notes. They know who they're playing against. They know what guys are instigators. They know what guys aren't going to follow up their instigations with actual physical punishment. And Mason Marchment, I tweeted out today, he is the fakest tough guy in the league. It's really, really hard to be a puke when you're 6'5", 215 pounds. Mason Marchment is a 6'5", 215-pound puke. Every single time he's dusting it up and trying to find a way to get under someone's skin. And then when it comes time to answer the bell, he does nothing and he shrinks, right? So Marchment gives that little, it's a little shove. Again, I thought it was hardly anything. Manson throws the first punch, and he should be penalized for that, which he was. As soon as they go back at it, as soon as it becomes a scrum, what does Marchment do? He like ducks out of the scrum as much as he possibly can. And then Brandon Montour comes in off the top rope trying to get up and over Manson. Like it turns into an all out melee because a 6'5", 215-pound player who runs his mouth and is an instigator chooses not to fight his own battles. He's a puke.
Yeah, no, Marchman has that energy about him where, like, there are some words I want to use. Um, he just has that look on his face. You talk about a punchable face, but it's just his attitude, his yeah, he instigated that. He's an instigator, but you're right, he doesn't back it up, which is
Like a
very
lot of
odd. If you're
people on
gonna
Twitter
play
Spring,
like that, then back it up.
a lot of people on Twitter Spring were trying to bring other names into it, like Kirk Maltby. And I looked at Kirk Maltby and I was like, that guy actually, like, he backed it up. The other one that was brought up was Sean Avery. And I went, at least Sean Avery backed it up with his hands.
And I did not like Brandon Montour jumping on Brent Burns, who's down, and then trying to throw punches on a defenseless Brent Burns. And Burns is just like, dude, get the hell off of me.
That was a scummy move.
I hated that.
And Burns
That was
let him
almost
know.
the worst part of the whole sequence, to be honest.
You could really hurt someone, dude, especially when Burns is on his back and you're just throwing punches. His head is against a very hard, immovable, icy object.
Exactly.
Like, it's not going anywhere. There's nothing cushioning that blow. He's not able to protect himself down there. And Burns let Montour know when they were getting out of there how scummy of a move that was to do against one of the most respected guys in the entire league. It was a complete scumbag move from Brandon
Burns
Montour.
wasn't doing it. Burns was just trying to break everything up, and then he's down on the ice. Like, completely defenseless. Didn't pick a fight with Montour at all. That was just Bush League. And yeah, it's like those punches, those forearms that Montour was throwing with Burns' head directly against the ice.
Yeah. You don't do
that. That is dangerous.
And players know that you don't do that. That is a unwritten rule that everyone knows. When they're down, you don't throw punches when guys are on the ice. You don't do it.
Yeah.
The fight's over.
Unbelievable. That's getting in your own way when it had been a relatively clean game. And like I said, I know that there's, history between Marchment and the Avs, and that carries over from last year to now. When does this go down? This goes down 54 seconds into the third period. You're up by 1. Why would you tempt it? Look what happened. Look what the hockey gods did.
Yep.
Bam, bam, bam. And McKinnon scoring off of Adam Larson's ass. Like, that's how you know.
It's a great point. It's a hockey god moment, Spring.
Yeah.
You know what it did? There are moments to choose fights in this game. And it is one of the moments you don't do it is when you have the best team in the world sleeping through 2 periods. Yes. You don't do it then because you run the risk. Even if you win the fight, you run the risk of waking that team up. And Mason Marchment and Brandon Montour lost the game for their team.
They absolutely changed the momentum. They put a chip on Colorado's shoulder. If you're going to do douchebaggy stuff, you do it when you're down. and you're trying to spark your team. You are up by 1 against the best team in the league. Baffling.
It was
Absolutely
baffling.
baffling move. Let's see here. The Ross Colton board, the board on Ross Colton, or Ross Colton called for boarding on Ryan Lindgren, former Av. Colton thinks that Lindgren's kind of just going straight line into the boards, and then at the last second, Lindgren decides to cut back to the left, to his right. And Ross is just not expecting that at the absolute last minute.
It's a call that is based off the result of the play. I can understand why the referee calls it in that situation. There was a similar play. It was, it's funny, like a similar play happened right in front of the Avs bench early on in the game with Josh Manson when he put Marchment into the boards, where it was now the second play as an Av being the aggressor in contact, where a Seattle player went into the boards awkwardly. I can understand how the referee goes, well, we didn't call it then, we're going to call it now. Lindgren looks injured. When you go back at it, it's a bad call. Not only does he barely hit him, Lindgren does turn the wrong way at the last second, and Colton, he eases off, dude. Like, Colton he could have killed Ryan Lindgren if he wanted to. He
Sure,
eased
could have
off.
Mikko Rantanen him.
Could have killed him. And he eased off. And unfortunately, the referee didn't take that into effect when he put his hand up. Now, it's tough. Like, those calls are made within a half second, right?
Sure. And I think Lyles was right in the intermission. They're reacting to the result. Like, you see this in football. Like, it might not be helmet to helmet or something, but if the dude's, down on the field for multiple seconds, you're just like, we got to throw a flag just because that's what they feel like they have to do. So when you see Lindgren go down, and yes, it was chest first into the boards. Granted, it was because he makes a split-second decision too late. I mean, honest, it's that now it's kind of like the quarterback deciding to slide like at the last possible second, like CJ Stroud and Chris Abrams drain. Is like, what do you want him to do? You know? And then it's unfortunate that now, granted, it all works out in the end. That Chandler Stevenson scores on just a freaking, let me center this puck, and it goes off of Brent Burns' skate and in. And it's like, how come the Avs can't score power play goals like that? Avs don't get like any fluky, lucky power play goals.
Until
Well, hey, look, you hit
it
it off
wasn't
the
a power play. It wasn't a power play goal. The McKinnon goal is fluky, right? It goes
was a
off
little
Larson's
fluky,
ass
yeah.
and into the net.
But you put pucks on net, good things happen, I guess, for both sides, for any team.
The power play goal that Nelson scores, I'm not going to call fluky, but you got to bounce, right? Like, it comes off the end board perfectly.
Wasn't that like the last power play goal they got, that Cale Makar shot off the end boards?
I can't remember. It's been so long since they scored.
I know. I think that was a power play goal where Cale just shot it wide, but it bounced off the end boards and came back to the crease area, and they just stuffed it home.
I could have sworn the last power play goal was Cale at the end of regulation with the goalie pulled.
Oh, there was that too. And I'm not even sure if that Cale one was a power play that I'm referencing, but they have had success in the past few games of just shooting it hard off the end boards and getting a bounce in front. So I guess, yeah, I mean, the bounces do even out.
They eventually do, right? And I thought it was just justice that the Avs got those bounces. I thought they were doing the right things on the power play, putting pucks to net. 1 for 4. We said it a couple of days ago, Spring, right? 1 for 4 is an improvement. That is a better percentage than what they have right now. So if you want to complain about the power play, do it some other night.
You'll take 1 for 4 on 25% all day. All day. Right. Get to that clip.
Let's continue with the refereeing decisions. Josh Manson covering the puck with his glove in the crease. Do we agree with the call or not?
Yeah, right. Isn't it? That's the call. And they were lots of hand stuff from the Avs tonight. I mean,
don't knock hand stuff.
Hey, be a man and use your stick. All right. Look, Natchez' hand stuff is like, dude. Like, you could almost see it was like a kid who like is like about to do something he knows he shouldn't do, and the eyes kind of like shift back and forth, and he's just like, "Screw it, I'm doing it." As you know, like, dude, you cannot do that.
You
And
can't do it. You
Manson's
can
just
get
trying to
away
help
with it
his
when you're
dude Blackwood out on his, but yeah, you can't do that.
you can do it when you're trying to sneak a cookie out of the jar, but when there's 17 high definition cameras, you're not getting away with it.
Exactly. Yeah, now there's instant replay and HD cameras. And
Yeah,
then an ensuing penalty shot that goes wide. Blackwood, I thought his positioning was good. Overall, Blackwood had a good game. Yeah, it did strike me. He had several saves early in this game, including one that ends up on a rebound going in. I think the Eberle goal where he's just like sprawling and he's on his stomach. Um, Somewhat uncharacteristic of Blackwood. He was making the saves, but he was very out and sprawly. And then I thought he really settled in as this game went along.
I thought he was sprawly because the defense in front of him was atrocious in the first
Mm,
two periods. I agree with you. It didn't look like the typical, it looked like more of a Scott Wedgwood game, right? It
yeah.
didn't look like the typical Mackenzie Blackwood point to point to point. I'm in position. I'm ahead of the puck. I'm good. It felt like one of those Wedgwood games where he's throwing up blockers like this and somehow getting a heel on a puck. Like he even did the scorpion thing and saved a goal early in this game. I do think it was because the defense in front of him wasn't doing much. Seattle was buzzing early. Eberle coming down on a shootout attempt reminded me of why he was so good when he was younger, why he was so good as a member of that all-time World Junior team in Canada. I thought he beat him, and he missed it, by an inch.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that Blackwood did a good job of staying big and, being more positionally sound and not being as sprawly. That looked like that's good. Blackwood's good in the shootouts. The Avs skaters aren't, but Blackwood's got that good sense about him one on one. So he kept the window small for Eberle is what he did there. That's why Eberle misses by such a slim margin because the window was so small. So yeah, ultimately, really good game. I thought it was like a tale of two halves. I thought he was good. Look, he was good in the first half of the game, but then I just thought he really tightened up and was much more sound as the game went along. And you talk about defensive breakdowns, like on Eberle's goal, the one where Blackwood does kind of sprawl and then the puck kind of gets through him and then the rebound is put in. Kale kind of makes a decision to go out wide and leaves Taves all by himself in the middle, and Kale can't recover. There were some interesting defensive decisions made. You mentioned the defensive breakdowns. Yeah, it wasn't great. We talked about the Gerard Malinsky play that led to the first goal. Um, I thought Burns and Manson though remain pretty solid.
They do. I thought they were the best pairing this evening.
Yeah. And they really, Brent Burns had a lot of time on ice in and around that sequence where he helped set up that Sam Girard goal through Valeri Nichushkin. Like Brent Burns, I feel like he had two shifts, 2 out of 3. Like he was on the ice, right back on. So, a little bit of maybe tired legs from Burns, but he just kept grinding, and helped make that play.
And that's the beauty of Burns having played so many minutes, so many years consecutively in Carolina, despite being in his late 30s. You don't have to do it this year, but God forbid you have to on a game to game basis when you look at your other pairings like Kale and Devon. Like, Kale didn't catch a puck cleanly until the third period, the whole game. Just didn't catch a puck cleanly. On the power play, 5-on-5, he was double clutching things. When it's very clear that those two guys don't have it, and then as bad as Malinsky and Girard were tonight for the first two periods, again, despite the Girard goal, you have the ability to go, I'm not going to do this to you 82 games, but can I get 22 minutes out of you tonight? And he's going to be able to step on there and not have it be catastrophic. Now, does he play 22? No, he plays 18 this evening, but it's an easy ask from Bednar.
And then how about Josh Manson with that zone entry on the first goal, the Arturi Lehkonen goal? Like Manson, real clean, nice zone entry. And then he goes down low, which is risky, to kind of sell. But he's already coming in with a decent amount of speed and can kind of see the play set up behind him. That Natchez ultimately gets the shot on net from deep, and then Lehkonen tips it in. And Manson's one of the screeners, so from zone entry to screening, and again, a little risky for it, because if something gets blocked and now there's a breakout the other way, Manson's too deep the other way, but good zone entry, and the risk paid off.
Without a doubt, Spring. Manson's ability to lead rushes.
Yeah, no, he's
his
done
size
that.
and his speed. He's like what you saw out of Eric Johnson for all those years, where they're comfortable with him doing that. And it's fun. It's funny. It's like a thing where teachers, you see someone bring out a snack and they go, "It's okay if you have it, as long as you have enough for everyone." And I feel as though the Manson leading the puck and leading the rush up the ice is him looking at the bench and going, well, if Kale can do it and Sam can do it and Devon can do it and Brent can do it, why can't I do it? If all the defensemen are allowed to lead rushes and hang out in the offensive zone, goddamn, I'm going to do it too.
And we've seen him do that. We've seen him, maybe not so much on zone entries where he's making a heady pass, and he can do that, but we've seen him get deep into that slot and put wrist shots on net, score in those areas. He's a more versatile player than he gets credit for, because he's looked at as the guy that is going to fight, or he's their more physical defenseman. Obviously Burns can do it. And then, man, I talk about these defensemen shooting, and that Gerard slap shot that he scores on, man, he doesn't have a great slap shot. Like, he put all of his might into that thing, and like, there are some D-men, when they rip that thing, it's like boom, like it zips off. That thing, and that was Sam giving every
Oh
ounce
yeah,
of
he
his
leaned
strength
into
into
it.
that shot. And it still just kind of floated. But guess what? There were bodies. Ross Colton sets a screen, and
It
it
was in the
gets
right
through.
spot.
Yeah.
No, I was happy with it. Again, it was something that I looked at. That pairing was so bad. Like both Sam Gerard and Sam Malinsky were very bad in the first two periods,
Mm-hmm.
together particularly. And then for him to score that is like it was a. I hate to use this word because it's often overused and cliche. It was a microcosm of the game. Like the Avs were so bad for the majority of this game, and it doesn't matter. Like Gerard and Malinsky were bad for the first two periods of this game, and it turns out it didn't matter. That's how good the team is. That's how good the players are right now, is that you can overcome these bad performances, particularly when you're playing against teams that are going to be sitting between seeds 10 and 12 in your conference.
Really, the whole the third D pair. Really, the whole bottom six wasn't great tonight. Really not much at all from the bottom six. Kiviranta takes a penalty late. No shots on goal from Colton or Drury. Jack Drury was kind of a complete ghost to me in this game. And obviously he's had a good season, but just overall, it just wasn't a bottom six night. Top six had to make some plays. They did. Last thought that I have, Kale getting booed still in Seattle. Gosh, Valeri Nichushkin's a good boy now. Like, that was a decade ago.
Seattle doesn't have.
Yep.
That's like the most exciting history that's ever happened to the Seattle Kraken.
You took the
hockey
words out
club.
of my mouth. That was exactly what I was going to say.
So you know what? If you guys want to have that, have it. That's fine.
Yep. That's their thing.
That's
it's a
fine.
newer franchise. It's what they bonded over.
It's literally the most exciting thing that's happened to that franchise.
Yeah, it's so weird and like ironic that their most hated guy is the best person in the world.
Like the nicest guy in the league.
But hey, if that's their culture because they're newer and they're just going off of their recent experiences and what they know in their history, okay.
Yeah, be my guest. I was starting to be irked by it early on, and then I remembered. I went, it's the only thing they've ever seen.
Yes.
It's okay. They can have this.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly. But
I'm generous this evening, Spring.
No, I mean, even when they were losing, I still was thinking like, yeah, but like it's what they got. That's their
All right.
thing.
Spring, a
Okay.
quick look around the league as all scores are now final before we get out of here late on a Tuesday evening. Avs won't play until Thursday when they host the. Is it Thursday or Friday when they host Winnipeg? When's their next game?
Friday.
Friday. Okay, so that's the first of 3 straight divisional matchups for Colorado. They'll host Winnipeg. They'll see the Minnesota Wild and Quinn Hughes, and they'll also see Utah over the course of the next 3 games. So 3 divisional matchups. Winnipeg on the outside looking in right now on the playoff race.
Just
Minnesota,
blew a game to
obviously.
Ottawa last night that they had, and then
Yep,
Ottawa's tied it up late, losing overtime. You got Minnesota on Sunday.
that's a
Like
fun game.
that's the one because Minnesota beats the Capitals are good, and
Smoke the
Minnesota beat them
Caps.
5-0 tonight. So you go
Smoke
get
them.
Winnipeg, and then it sets up a big time Sunday matchup with the Wild.
Any scores from tonight jump out at you other than that 5-0 Wild win? There were 4-point nights from Macklin Celebrini and Leon Draisaitl. A 3-point, it was either a 3 or 4-point night for McDavid as well. In the first game of Stuart Skinner versus Tristan Jarry against each other, they combined for 10 goals against.
Yeah, no, that was the game that stood out to me tonight. I guess
The bad goalie for bad goalie trade turns out that was a good game to bet the over in.
Yeah. That was free right there. If you took a step back and thought about it. I guess Jari's like a tick better than Skinner, and the Oilers
Sure.
win the trade for the night, and I guess they win it overall, kind of. It was what stood out. Did you see at the end of this game? Edmonton wins, and they all celebrate right near Stuart Skinner's crease. Now with the Stuart Skinner's Penguins crease, and Stu had been on that team for years. Those are his boys.
So
Nobody acknowledges him, which they shouldn't, but maybe you could just be like, "Hey, bud, like we do acknowledge your existence as a friend."
It was awesome.
He's just standing there watching his ex-teammates celebrate, almost as if he like kind of wanted to be included.
So that wasn't at the end of the game. That was mid-game because
That was mid-game. That was a hell of a celebration.
It was Leon Draisaitl's 1,000th career point.
Okay,
that makes sense. All of his teammates come out to celebrate with a longtime teammate of Stuart Skinner, and he just has to sit there like shoveling the snow out of his crease. It was the funniest thing that happened in sports tonight.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was just so funny to see Stewart just stand there right next to the dudes he played with like a week ago, and he played with for years.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So that was the best thing in the NHL tonight.
Without a doubt.
And the Avs winning and continuing their pace over Dallas. There's that too.
Gotta have those. Both Dallas and Colorado will be off on Wednesday. The Stars back on the ice on Thursday evening as they travel to the San Jose Sharks. Again, Macklin Celebrini, 51 points.
He scored a sick goal tonight. He had a little spinorama goal that was real nice.
Turns out he's a good player.
Yeah, turns out.
But Nathan MacKinnon, with his 3-point effort tonight, jumps back above Connor McDavid. He now leads the league with 58 points. He also leads the league with his 2 goals this evening at 28. Morgan Geekie still scoring a bunch for Boston right now. But as we always expect, Connor McDavid has these stretches of like 2 weeks where you go, he's 12 points back. And then you look and he goes, Jesus Christ, where did you come from? It happened.
Yeah. And it was inevitable. It's like Thanos snapping his finger. It's just inevitable, you know. And that was, what it was. That was my prediction. It's a 2-man race. But I think, with Nate's goal scoring, that's the edge, and also team success.
Mm-hmm.
And, for that Rocket Richard race, huge that Nate got 2 third period goals. As we know with Alex Ovechkin, empty netters, they count all the same. So glad that Nate got the empty netter tonight.
Without a doubt, Spring. All right, Avs 5-3 win. They come from behind for the first time all season in the third period. Now, every single NHL team has a third period come back to their name going into the middle of December. It's amazing that the Avs have waited this long, but I guess it's not as amazing when you look at how dominant they've been. They just don't trail. They have the puck the entire time and they win hockey games, and they also don't lose in the third period. It's it's just a damn good hockey club right now, Spring. All right, we're going to be back on Friday night after the Avs take on the Winnipeg Jets at home in a Central Division collision. Spring, good to see you. And we appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us late here on a Tuesday night. Avs win. See you.